The morning began like countless others for Katie, Clark, and Travis. The sun had barely risen over the horizon when the family started preparing for a busy day ahead. Their schedules were full, their children were excited about upcoming family activities, and life seemed to be moving forward with optimism and purpose. Neither of them could have imagined how quickly everything would change. Katie had always been the planner in the relationship. She carefully organized family outings, coordinated appointments, and made sure every detail was handled before they left home. Travis, meanwhile, was more spontaneous, often relying on Katie's organization while bringing his own relaxed energy to family life. That particular day felt special. The couple had decided to take a drive together, enjoying some rare, uninterrupted time away from their daily responsibilities. The road stretched ahead of them beneath a clear sky, promising nothing more dramatic than a pleasant journey. As they drove, they talked about their future. They discussed dreams for their growing family, potential moves, career aspirations, and the milestones they hoped to celebrate in the years ahead. Like many young couples, they envisioned decades of memories still waiting to be made. The conversation flowed easily. Laughter filled the car as they recalled funny family moments and inside jokes that only the two of them truly understood. Those small moments of connection had always been the foundation of their relationship. Hours seemed to pass peacefully. Traffic remained light. The weather stayed calm. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary. Then, in a single instant, the ordinary disappeared. A sudden movement on the roadway caught Travis's attention. His instincts immediately took over. The vehicle shifted. Tires struggled for traction. Time seemed to slow. Katie later remembered fragments rather than a complete sequence of events. The screech of brakes, the sensation of movement, the overwhelming confusion as circumstances spiraled beyond anyone's control. For a brief moment, silence followed. Then came the realization that something serious had happened. Emergency responders would later describe how quickly they arrived on the scene. Their training took over as they assessed injuries, stabilized the situation, and ensured everyone involved received immediate medical attention. For Katie and Travis, however, those first moments felt endless. Fear became the dominant emotion. Questions raced through their minds. Were they okay? Would everyone recover? What would happen next? Family members soon received phone calls that no one ever wants to answer. The news spread rapidly. Parents, siblings, friends, and supporters began anxiously seeking updates. Messages flooded phones. Prayers poured in from every direction. Inside the hospital, doctors worked carefully to evaluate injuries and determine treatment plans. The uncertainty was agonizing. Waiting rooms became gathering places for loved ones desperate for information. Every update carried enormous significance. Every conversation with medical staff felt critical. Katie and Travis faced one of the most challenging experiences of their lives. Physical recovery represented only part of the journey. The emotional impact proved equally significant. Accidents often leave invisible scars alongside visible injuries. Anxiety, fear, gratitude, and vulnerability frequently intertwine in complicated ways. For Katie, one realization stood above all others. Life could change without warning. The plans discussed during that morning drive suddenly felt less important than the simple gift of being together. Travis experienced a similar awakening. Many of the everyday frustrations that once seemed significant now appeared trivial compared to the possibility of losing someone he loved. As days passed, recovery slowly began. Doctors monitored progress. Family members provided support. Friends offered encouragement. Communities united in concern and compassion. The road ahead remained uncertain, but one thing became increasingly clear. They would face whatever came next together. The experience reshaped priorities, strengthened relationships, and reminded everyone involved about the fragile nature of life itself. What had begun as an ordinary day would become a turning point, a chapter neither Katie nor Travis would ever forget. And it was only the beginning of a much larger story. The long road to recovery. As the initial shock of the accident began to fade, Katie and Travis found themselves facing a new challenge: recovery. The first 24 hours after any serious accident are often filled with uncertainty. Doctors conduct tests, specialists evaluate injuries, and families wait anxiously for answers. For Katie and Travis, Those hours seemed to stretch endlessly. Every update from the medical team brought a mixture of relief and concern. While neither had suffered life-threatening injuries, the accident had left both physically and emotionally shaken. Bruises, soreness, and exhaustion became daily realities. More difficult, however, was processing what had happened. The human mind often struggles to comprehend traumatic events. Even when danger has passed, memories linger. Katie found herself replaying the moments leading up to the accident repeatedly. Small details resurfaced unexpectedly. A sound, a smell, or even a passing vehicle could trigger memories of that frightening day. Travis experienced something similar. As someone who had always tried to protect his family, he carried a heavy emotional burden. Although the accident was beyond anyone's control, he couldn't stop wondering whether something could have been done differently. These thoughts became part of his daily struggle. Family members noticed the change immediately. The usually upbeat and energetic couple appeared quieter. Their smiles were less frequent. Their conversations often drifted back to questions without answers. Yet amidst the uncertainty, one thing became increasingly evident. They were not facing the journey alone. Family rallies. Together, one of the defining characteristics of the Bates family has always been their strong sense of unity. Whenever a family member faces hardship, others step forward to help. The accident was no exception. Phone calls arrived constantly. Messages of encouragement poured in from relatives across the country. Visits became a regular occurrence. Loved ones brought meals, offered childcare assistance, and helped manage daily responsibilities that suddenly felt overwhelming. For Katie, these gestures meant more than words could express. Simple acts of kindness became reminders that she was surrounded by people who cared deeply about her well-being. Travis felt the same gratitude. In difficult times, support often comes from unexpected places. Friends reached out. Neighbors checked in. Supporters offered prayers and encouraging messages. Each act of compassion helped lighten the emotional weight they carried. Facing emotional challenges. Physical injuries can often be measured and treated. Emotional wounds are more complicated. In the weeks following the accident, both Katie and Travis discovered that healing involved far more than medical appointments. Fear became a recurring challenge. Driving again felt intimidating. Even routine trips triggered anxiety. What had once been automatic now required courage. Many accident survivors describe a similar experience. The confidence that existed before a traumatic event doesn't always return immediately. Instead, it must be rebuilt gradually. Katie learned this firsthand. The first time she sat in a vehicle after the accident, her heart raced. Every turn felt significant. Every unexpected movement attracted attention. Although she knew she was safe, her emotions hadn't fully accepted that reality yet. Travis faced similar fears. However, he remained determined not to allow the accident to define their future. He encouraged Katie gently. He reminded her of their progress. Most importantly, he remained patient. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. Lessons in gratitude. As difficult as the experience had been, it also produced unexpected moments of clarity. Near tragedies often force people to reevaluate their priorities. Katie began appreciating everyday moments more deeply. Morning coffee with family, conversations around the dinner table, laughter shared with loved ones. Simple routines suddenly felt extraordinary. The accident had highlighted how precious ordinary life truly is. Travis experienced a similar shift. Goals and ambitions remained important, but relationships became his primary focus. Time spent with family felt more valuable than ever before. Success, he realized, wasn't measured solely by accomplishments. It was measured by the people who shared life's journey. Community support. News of the accident continued spreading through social media and online communities. Supporters expressed concern and encouragement. Many shared personal stories about overcoming difficult circumstances. These messages created a sense of connection. People who had never met Katie or Travis offered sincere words of hope. The kindness of strangers served as a powerful reminder of humanity's capacity for compassion. During dark moments, those messages often provided comfort. Every encouraging comment reinforced the idea that recovery was possible. Small victories. Healing rarely occurs in dramatic leaps. Instead, it happens through small victories. A day with less pain, a successful medical appointment, a peaceful night's sleep, anxiety gradually decreasing. Each milestone represented progress. At first, these achievements seemed insignificant. Over time, however, they accumulated. Weeks turned into months. Strength slowly returned. Confidence improved. The future no longer seemed dominated by fear. Katie began smiling more often. Travis regained his characteristic optimism. The accident would always remain part of their story, but it no longer controlled every thought. A new perspective. Perhaps the most profound change involved perspective. Before the accident, many aspects of life had felt routine. Afterward, nothing felt quite the same. They understood more clearly how fragile life can be. Plans can change instantly. Certainty can disappear. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Rather than creating despair, this realization inspired gratitude. Every day became an opportunity. Every memory mattered. Every relationship deserved attention. The experience had changed them, not by making them fearful, but by making them more aware of what truly mattered. As recovery continued, a new chapter slowly emerged. The worst days appeared to be behind them. Challenges remained, but hope was growing stronger. And together, Katie and Travis prepared to face whatever came next. The road ahead would still contain obstacles, yet it would also contain healing, growth, and opportunities to build an even stronger future than they had imagined before. Finding strength after the storm. By the time several months had passed since the accident, life was beginning to feel familiar again. Not exactly the same, not completely normal, but familiar enough for Katie and Travis to recognize that healing was taking place. Recovery is often portrayed as a straight path from pain to wellness. In reality, it rarely works that way. There are good days and difficult days, moments of confidence and moments of fear, progress and setbacks. Katie and Travis experienced all of it. Yet through every challenge, they continued moving forward, learning to trust again. One of the hardest parts of recovery involved rebuilding trust. Not trust in each other. That had never disappeared. Instead, they had to learn to trust the world again. Before the accident, getting into a vehicle had been routine. Afterward, every drive carried emotional weight. Katie especially struggled with unexpected anxiety. A sudden stop at a traffic light, a vehicle changing lanes, heavy traffic. Situations that once felt ordinary now triggered nervousness. She often found herself gripping her seat tighter than before, watching the road more carefully, preparing for danger even when none existed. Trauma has a way of teaching the brain to stay alert. The challenge is learning when that alertness is no longer necessary. Over time, however, Katie discovered something important. Fear loses power when faced repeatedly. Each successful trip strengthened her confidence. Each safe journey became evidence that recovery was possible. Little by little, driving became less frightening. Travis's personal struggle. While Katie worked through visible anxiety, Travis faced a quieter battle. He carried responsibility heavily. Even though investigators had confirmed that the accident wasn't something he could have prevented, part of him continued searching for answers. What if they had left earlier? What if they had chosen another route? What if one small decision had changed everything? These questions lingered. Many accident survivors experience similar thoughts. The mind naturally searches for explanations. It wants control. It wants certainty. Unfortunately, life doesn't always provide either. Eventually, Travis realized that healing required acceptance. Some events cannot be undone. Some questions remain unanswered. The only choice is deciding how to move forward. Once he embraced that truth, a sense of peace gradually emerged. Family bonds grow stronger. Hardship often reveals the strength of relationships. The accident became a powerful reminder of how much family meant to both Katie and Travis. The months following the crash brought countless examples of love and support. Relatives continued checking in regularly. Family gatherings became more meaningful. ordinary moments felt extraordinary. Birthdays, holiday celebrations, weekend visits, each occasion carried new significance. Nobody took time together for granted anymore. The accident had reminded everyone that life can change unexpectedly. As a result, relationships became deeper. Conversations became more genuine. Expressions of love became more frequent. The power of community support continued arriving from people far beyond their immediate circle. Followers on social media shared encouraging messages. Many told stories of their own recoveries. Others described how Katie and Travis had inspired them during difficult times. The couple was deeply touched by these responses. In many ways, they discovered that hardship creates connection. People who have experienced pain often understand each other in unique ways. A message from a stranger who had survived a similar accident could provide enormous comfort. These shared experiences helped reduce feelings of isolation. Katie and Travis realized they were part of a larger community of people overcoming challenges. Faith through uncertainty. One source of strength remained constant throughout the recovery process: their faith. During moments when answers seemed unavailable, faith provided stability. It offered hope when circumstances felt overwhelming. It encouraged gratitude during difficult days. Most importantly, it reminded them that even painful experiences can produce growth. Katie often reflected on how much her perspective had changed. Before the accident, she frequently focused on future plans. Afterward, she learned to appreciate the present moment. The future still mattered. Goals still mattered. Dreams still mattered. But today's blessings deserved attention too. Travis shared similar reflections. The experience taught him that strength isn't the absence of fear. Strength is continuing despite fear. That lesson would remain with him long after physical recovery ended. Returning to everyday life. Eventually, routines began returning. Work responsibilities resumed. Family schedules became busy again. Life moved forward. At first, this transition felt strange. For months, recovery had dominated every conversation. Now, normal responsibilities were demanding attention once more, yet this return to routine represented progress. It meant healing was working. It meant the accident no longer controlled every aspect of life. Katie found joy in simple activities: running errands, spending time with family, planning future projects. These ordinary experiences felt like victories. Travis experienced similar appreciation. Activities that once seemed mundane now felt valuable. Normal life had become something worth celebrating. Looking back. As the anniversary of the accident approached, emotions resurfaced. Memories remained vivid. The fear, the uncertainty, the long recovery process. Everything felt both distant and recent at the same time. Looking back, Katie was amazed by how far they had come. There had been moments when recovery seemed overwhelming, moments when progress felt impossible to measure. Yet here they were, stronger, wiser, more grateful. The accident had changed them. But not in the way they initially feared. Rather than breaking them, the experience had revealed resilience they never knew they possessed. A new chapter begins. By the end of that year, conversations about the future sounded different. Not because dreams had changed, because priorities had. Success was no longer defined solely by achievements. It was measured by relationships, health, faith. Time spent with loved ones. The accident had taught them that life's most important treasures are often the simplest: a shared meal, a family gathering, a quiet conversation, a safe journey home. These moments now carried extraordinary meaning. Katie and Travis knew challenges would continue appearing throughout life. Every family faces difficulties eventually. However, they also knew something else. They had already survived one of the hardest experiences of their lives, and because they faced it together, they emerged stronger than before. The road ahead remained unwritten. New opportunities awaited. New memories would be created. New milestones would be celebrated. For the first time since the accident, excitement about the future outweighed fear. Hope had returned. Confidence had returned. Joy had returned. And with those gifts came a renewed appreciation for every day they were given. The storm had passed, the healing had begun, and a new chapter was only just starting, the legacy of survival and hope. As the years moved forward, the accident gradually became something different in Katie and Travis's lives. It was no longer the center of every conversation, no longer the first thing they thought about each morning, no longer a source of constant fear. Instead, it became a chapter in their story, an important chapter, a difficult chapter, but only one chapter among many. The experience would always be remembered, yet it would no longer define who they were. That realization marked a major turning point in their journey. Life after trauma. One of the greatest misconceptions about recovery is the idea that people eventually return to exactly who they were before hardship occurred. In reality, major life events change people. The goal isn't to become the person you once were. The goal is to become a stronger version of yourself moving forward. Katie understood this better than ever. She often reflected on how differently she viewed life compared to the person she had been before the accident. The change wasn't dramatic, it was subtle, yet powerful. She appreciated ordinary moments more deeply. She worried less about small inconveniences. She spent more time focusing on what truly mattered: family, faith, health, relationships. The things that once felt guaranteed now felt precious. A different definition of success. Before the accident, success often meant reaching goals, completing projects, planning for the future, achieving milestones. Those things remained important. However, the experience expanded their understanding of what success actually meant. Success became less about accomplishments and more about gratitude. It became waking up healthy, sharing laughter with loved ones, creating meaningful memories, being present. Travis embraced this perspective wholeheartedly. The accident had taught him that life's value cannot be measured solely by achievements. Some of the most important moments happen quietly. A conversation with family, a walk together at sunset, a child laughing in the next room. Those moments became treasures, strengthening their marriage. Hardships often reveal the true foundation of a relationship. For Katie and Travis, the accident tested their ability to support each other during uncertainty. There were difficult days, moments of frustration, moments of fear, moments when exhaustion made everything feel harder. Yet they continued choosing each other every single day. The experience deepened their appreciation for their marriage. They learned how important communication truly is. They learned the value of patience. They learned the importance of listening even when answers aren't available. Most importantly, they discovered that love often appears in simple actions: sitting beside someone during a difficult moment, offering encouragement, providing reassurance, remaining present. These acts strengthened their relationship in ways they never expected. Inspiring others. As time passed, Katie and Travis occasionally shared parts of their recovery journey publicly. Their goal wasn't attention, their goal was encouragement. They understood that countless people face challenges every day: accidents, illnesses, losses, unexpected hardships. By sharing their experience, they hoped others would feel less alone. The response was overwhelming. Messages arrived from people around the country. Many described their own recovery stories. Others explained how hearing about Katie and Travis's perseverance had inspired them. These stories created powerful connections. Pain became purpose. Difficulty became encouragement. Their experience was helping others find hope. The lessons they carried forward. Years later, several lessons remained central to their lives. The first lesson involved gratitude. Nothing is guaranteed. Every day is a gift. Every opportunity deserves appreciation. The second lesson involved resilience. People are often stronger than they realize. Challenges reveal strengths that remain hidden during comfortable seasons of life. The third lesson involved relationships. Success means very little without people to share it with. Family and friendships matter more than possessions or achievements. The fourth lesson involved perspective. Most daily frustrations are temporary. Most problems eventually pass. Focusing on what truly matters, creates peace. These lessons became guiding principles for their future. Looking toward tomorrow, the future once again felt exciting. New goals emerged, new adventures awaited, new memories remained ready to be created. The accident no longer represented an ending, it represented a beginning of deeper appreciation, a beginning of renewed purpose, a beginning of greater understanding. Katie often thought about how close life can come to changing forever. That awareness motivated her to embrace every opportunity. Travis shared that mindset. Together, they focused on building a future filled with intention and gratitude. A story of hope. If someone had told them on the day of the accident that one day they would feel grateful for lessons learned through hardship, they might not have believed it. The pain was too fresh. The fear was too overwhelming. The uncertainty was too great. Yet healing has a remarkable way of transforming perspective, not by erasing difficult memories, but by helping people discover meaning within them. The accident remained part of their history. It always would. However, it no longer represented fear. Instead, it represented survival, growth, faith, perseverance, love. The lasting legacy years from now, when future generations hear the story, they may focus on the dramatic details. The accident, the recovery, the challenges. But Katie and Travis would likely emphasize something different. They would talk about the people who showed up when they needed help, the family members who offered support, the friends who provided encouragement, the community that surrounded them with kindness. They would talk about gratitude, about resilience, about hope, because those became the true legacy of their experience. Not the accident itself, but what happened afterward. The healing, the growth, the strength, the love. Final reflections. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Unexpected events interrupt even the most carefully designed futures. Yet within those interruptions, people often discover extraordinary courage. Katie and Travis discovered that courage. They learned that fear can be overcome, that healing takes time, that relationships grow stronger through adversity, and that hope remains possible even during life's darkest moments. Their journey serves as a reminder that difficult chapters do not determine the ending of a story. Challenges come, storms arrive, roads become uncertain, but with faith, perseverance, support, and love, people can continue moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time, one chapter at a time. And sometimes the chapters that begin with heartbreak eventually become stories of hope, rebuilding dreams and embracing a new future. Although the accident was now well behind them, its influence continued to shape Katie and Travis's lives in unexpected ways. Recovery had ended, physical wounds had healed, the fear that once dominated their thoughts had gradually faded. Yet the experience continued to leave a lasting imprint on the decisions they made and the future they envisioned. What they discovered was something many survivors eventually learn. Life after hardship is not about returning to the past. It is about creating a future that reflects everything you have learned. A fresh appreciation for time. One of the greatest gifts to emerge from the experience was a renewed understanding of time. Before the accident, days often passed quickly. Schedules filled with responsibilities, appointments, deadlines, projects, endless tasks competing for attention. Like many people, Katie and Travis occasionally found themselves rushing through life, always preparing for the next event, always looking ahead, always focused on tomorrow. The accident changed that. Suddenly, time felt different. Each day carried greater significance. Ordinary moments became meaningful. Simple experiences felt valuable. Instead of constantly racing toward future goals, they learned to appreciate where they already were. This shift brought unexpected peace, prioritizing family. The accident reinforced something they had always believed but now understood more deeply. Family is life's greatest blessing. Throughout recovery, family members had been their strongest source of support. Those relationships became even more precious afterward. Family dinners became more intentional. Holiday celebrations felt more meaningful. Weekend visits carried deeper appreciation. The laughter of loved ones no longer blended into the background of everyday life. It became something to treasure. Katie often found herself pausing during family gatherings just to absorb the moment, watching conversations unfold, listening to laughter, appreciating togetherness. Moments like these had always been important. Now they felt priceless. The courage to dream again. For a period after the accident, planning for the future felt difficult. Trauma often narrows perspective. People become focused on immediate survival rather than long-term possibilities. Katie and Travis experienced that reality firsthand. During recovery, simply getting through each day felt like enough. But as healing progressed, hope returned. And with hope came dreams. New goals began taking shape. Future adventures seemed exciting again. Projects that had once been postponed were reconsidered. The accident had reminded them that life is unpredictable. Rather than discouraging dreams, that realization encouraged them. If life can change unexpectedly, then meaningful opportunities should not be delayed unnecessarily. Discovering inner strength. One surprising outcome of adversity is self-discovery. Many people underestimate their resilience until circumstances force them to rely on it. Katie often reflected on how much stronger she had become. Before the accident, she might have doubted her ability to endure such a difficult experience. Now, she knew differently. The months of recovery had revealed strengths she never knew she possessed. Patience, determination, faith, perseverance. These qualities emerged during moments when she had no choice but to keep moving forward. Travis experienced a similar realization. The challenges they faced had tested every aspect of his character, yet each obstacle overcome became proof that difficult circumstances can be survived. Sharing their story. As the years passed, people continued asking about their recovery journey. Many wanted to know how they had remained positive. Others wondered how they rebuilt confidence after trauma. The truth was simple. Healing had not been perfect. It had not been quick. And it certainly had not been easy. There were setbacks, difficult days, moments of frustration, moments of doubt. What mattered was persistence. They continued moving forward even when progress felt slow. That message resonated with countless people. Everyone faces challenges eventually. The details may differ. But the need for hope remains universal. A changed perspective on success. The accident permanently altered how Katie and Travis measured success. Success was no longer defined solely by achievements. Instead, it became connected to fulfillment. Were they spending time with people they loved? Were they creating meaningful memories? Were they living according to their values? These questions became far more important than external accomplishments. Ironically, this perspective brought greater happiness. By focusing less on chasing perfection, they discovered more contentment in everyday life. Looking back without fear. For many years, discussing the accident had been emotional. The memories carried weight. The fear remained vivid. The uncertainty was unforgettable. Eventually, however, something changed. The memories lost their power to intimidate. Looking back no longer triggered overwhelming anxiety. Instead, it inspired gratitude. They had survived. They had recovered. They had grown. What once felt like the darkest chapter of their lives had become evidence of their resilience. Building a legacy. Perhaps the most meaningful outcome of the entire experience involved legacy. Not financial success, not public recognition, but personal impact. Katie and Travis wanted their story to encourage others. They hoped people facing hardships would understand that recovery is possible, that healing takes time, that setbacks do not mean failure, and that hope can survive even the most difficult circumstances. If their journey helped even one person continue moving forward, sharing it would be worthwhile. The road ahead. The future remained uncertain. Of course it did. Every future is uncertain. Yet uncertainty no longer felt frightening. Instead, it felt full of possibility. New adventures waited ahead. New milestones would be celebrated. New memories would be created. Life would continue bringing both joys and challenges. That reality could not be avoided, but Katie and Travis now possessed something invaluable: perspective. They understood what truly mattered. They understood how precious time can be. And they understood that strength often appears when it is needed most. Final thoughts. Years after the accident, one truth stood above all others. The experience had changed their lives forever. Not because of the pain, not because of the fear, not because of the uncertainty, but because of the growth that followed. The accident taught them gratitude. It strengthened their relationships. It deepened their faith. It revealed their resilience. Most importantly, it reminded them that every day offers an opportunity to appreciate the people and moments that matter most. The journey had begun with fear. It continued through recovery. It evolved into growth. And ultimately, it became a story of hope. A story that proved even life's most difficult chapters can lead to unexpected strength. And for Katie and Travis, that strength became the foundation for everything that came next. The years that followed. As the accident faded further into the past, Katie and Travis entered a season of life defined not by recovery, but by growth. The difference was significant. Recovery is about healing from what happened. Growth is about becoming who you are meant to be because of what happened. For years, the accident had been a major reference point in their story. Every decision, every milestone, and every challenge seemed connected to that life-changing event. Now, however, a new chapter was unfolding. The accident remained part of their history, but it no longer controlled their future. Rediscovering joy. One of the first signs of complete healing was the return of genuine joy. Not temporary happiness, not moments of distraction, but deep, lasting joy. The kind that allows people to fully engage with life again. Katie noticed it first during a family gathering. Everyone was laughing, sharing stories, and enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, she realized something. For several hours, she had not thought about the accident at all. There was no fear, no anxiety, no lingering tension. Only gratitude. The realization brought tears to her eyes, not because she was sad, because she finally understood how far she had come. Travis experienced similar moments. Days would pass without the accident entering his thoughts. When memories did return, they felt different. The fear had disappeared. Only perspective remained. New family traditions. Following the accident, Katie and Travis became intentional about creating memories. They understood something many people forget. Life is not measured in years, it is measured in moments. Because of this belief, they began establishing new family traditions, annual trips, special celebrations, regular family nights, simple routines that strengthened relationships. These traditions became treasured parts of family life. The goal was never perfection. The goal was connection. Every memory created became a reminder of how fortunate they were to share life together, appreciating everyday miracles. Most people think miracles must be dramatic, extraordinary events, life-changing breakthroughs, unexplainable outcomes. Katie and Travis eventually developed a different definition. They discovered miracles in ordinary life. A healthy morning, a safe trip home, a family meal, a child's laughter, a peaceful evening. The accident had permanently altered their perspective. Things once taken for granted now felt extraordinary. This mindset transformed their daily lives. Gratitude became a habit rather than an occasional feeling, encouraging others. As their story became more widely known, many people reached out seeking encouragement. Some had survived accidents, others were facing illnesses. Many were navigating personal struggles. The specific challenges differed. The emotional journey often felt similar: fear, uncertainty, frustration, hope, healing, growth. These experiences connect people in powerful ways. Katie frequently emphasized that recovery is rarely immediate. Healing requires patience. progress often occurs slowly. Some days feel successful, others feel discouraging. The important thing is continuing forward. Travis shared similar advice. He often reminded people that setbacks do not erase progress. Every difficult day is still part of the healing process. This message resonated with countless individuals facing their own challenges. A stronger marriage than ever. Years after the accident, Katie and Travis often reflected on how the experience had affected their relationship. The answer surprised many people. While the accident had certainly tested them, it had also strengthened their marriage. Challenges reveal character. They reveal commitment. They reveal priorities. During recovery, both had repeatedly chosen patience over frustration, understanding over criticism, support over self-interest. These choices created a stronger foundation for their future. Trust deepened. Communication improved. Appreciation increased. Their marriage emerged stronger than ever. Lessons they never forgot. Although life returned to normal in many ways, certain lessons remained permanent. First, tomorrow is never guaranteed. This realization encouraged them to live intentionally. Second, relationships matter more than possessions. People remain long after material achievements lose significance. Third, resilience is often greater than expected. Human beings are capable of remarkable endurance. Fourth, gratitude transforms perspective. Focusing on blessings creates strength during difficult seasons. Finally, hope is powerful. Even when circumstances seem overwhelming, healing remains possible. These lessons guided every major decision they made moving forward, looking toward the future. With each passing year, new opportunities appeared. New adventures, new challenges, new milestones. The future felt exciting again. Not because it promised certainty, because it offered possibility. Katie and Travis no longer expected life to be perfect. They understood too much for that. Instead, they embraced life's unpredictability. Challenges would come, difficult seasons would arrive, unexpected obstacles would appear. Yet they also knew something equally important. They could handle those challenges. The accident had proven that. A legacy of resilience. Eventually, people stopped viewing the accident as merely a tragic event. Instead, they saw what followed. The perseverance, the recovery, the growth, the strength. The story became less about what happened and more about how Katie and Travis responded. That distinction mattered. Anyone can face hardship. The true measure of character is how people move forward afterward. Katie and Travis chose courage. They chose hope. They chose gratitude. Again and again. Those choices shaped their legacy. Reflections years later. Many years after the accident, Katie found herself reflecting on the journey. If she could speak to the frightened version of herself sitting in the hospital all those years earlier, what would she say? She would say this: "You are stronger than you realize. The fear will not last forever. The pain will eventually fade. You will laugh again. You will dream again. You will feel joy again. Most importantly, you will be okay." Travis would offer similar reassurance. The future that once seemed uncertain eventually became filled with blessings. The road had not been easy, but it had been worth traveling. The story continues. Every family has defining moments, events that divide life into before and after. For Katie and Travis, the accident was one of those moments, yet it was never the end of their story. It was only a chapter, a difficult chapter, a painful chapter, a transformative chapter. But still only one chapter. The pages that followed contained growth, healing, purpose, love, and hope. Their story became proof that life's hardest moments do not have the final word. Recovery has a voice. Resilience has a voice. Faith has a voice. Hope has a voice. And sometimes, those voices become stronger because of the challenges people overcome. For Katie and Travis, that truth became the foundation of everything that followed. Hello guys, I am Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for latest news updates.